Hi, guys, and welcome to PlaySpace Podcast. I am Yolanda.
Hi, and I am Tammy. I am an owner of an indoor playground in California. And prior to this, I was a photographer before I started my indoor playground.
And I am a former indoor playground owner turned indoor playground consultant. So I am now teaching people how to start their own play spaces. Our topic today is about understanding your niche. So, how do you define your play space? One of the first things that I like to do is to define my play space and helping me to get to understanding my niche. So the first way that I try to define a play space is, are you an indoor playground? 2, are you a play cafe? Or 3, are you a play lounge? Some of those are things that people hear, and I think the play lounge is one that people are kind of like, what? But the way I just describe or define an indoor playground is, it is a place that has outdoor playthings that have been brought inside. Usually, to me, an indoor playground is going to have higher structures that kids can climb on and do more physical activity. A play cafe is usually a place that has play equipment, but then they also have some type of cafe attached to it. Now, this is not going to be a place that just has like a Keurig maker and some grab and go snacks. This is a place that has a true restaurant attached to their play space. They are serving food, they're cooking food, or they're preparing the food. And usually play cafes have coffee or different types of warm beverages that they're serving to their parents. And then a play lounge to me is usually a place that doesn't really have high apparatus things in the space. They usually have more low apparatus things in their space, and they usually have more imaginative play things within their space. There's one, Tammy, though, that I didn't add when I was doing my notes that did come up recently this week. Something that's coming up a lot with play spaces now are like the little play villages. And places are now defining their play space as like a play village. They have house structures or building structures within their spaces now, and they're basically theming their entire play space around these little houses or buildings that they're building within their play spaces. So I think that's going to be one that we'll need to add on to the list of types of indoor play spaces.
Like a play town, right?
A play town, yeah.
Yeah, those are cute. I like those type of
I
places.
do too. They're adorable.
Okay, so I let Yolanda kind of talk about that just because I haven't been in the industry that long, and I actually own in your definition, a play lounge, which is more imaginative play. And I don't have a cafe. So in your next notes, you kind of talked about educational versus physical fitness. What did you kind of want to touch bases regarding that?
So with your play space and understanding your niche, what is your play space going to focus on? Some play spaces will focus more on physical activity. The kids running more, the kids climbing more, the kids sliding and doing more physical activities. To me, that's more of the indoor playground type places. And then you're going to look at facilities that are a little bit more educational, where they're going to have more of the imaginative type play, where the kids are going to learn from playing. So what do you want your play space? What's the end goal when people leave? Do you want the kids to have focused more on their physical bodies, or do you want it to be more of a mind thing when they come in and they're learning through the play? So when thinking about a play space, when I'm working with people, I typically ask them that question to kind of see where they're going with understanding the niche for their play space.
Yeah, those things are really important too, because it really caters to the type of families that you're trying to bring in. but also
For
the
sure.
age ranges too. I feel like more indoor playgrounds kind of cater to a more broad range of kids or
For
ages of
sure.
kids. While maybe say a play lounge like me will cater to kids more like 6 years and under. We say 7 years and under, but I feel like it's best for 6 years and under, for those important times in their life where they're, trying to learn those just, life skills, so
Definitely. You know, it kind of reminds me of we had talked about in an earlier episode that you and I met by going to IAPA. And at IAPA, they focus in the play space realm with more focusing on FECs or family entertainment centers. And to me, the FECs are your bigger indoor playgrounds or bigger indoor play spaces that, they're like 10,000 square feet or bigger, and they have like really big, tall climbing apparatuses. So I feel like with smaller play spaces, we don't really even fall in the FEC category. So it's such a new category, and it's important to understand the niche of this category and your niche within the niche to really make a play space like this successful.
yeah. A couple other things I wanted to mention too. I feel like with an indoor playground itself, not all of them, and I'll mention another one that I think in particular that I want your opinion about, but
Yeah,
they need a bigger space, so you're looking at, upwards of 5,000 square feet or more, things like that. So you have to think about those things, like if you want to, what kind of niche you want to be in, because you might potentially be, getting into commercial spaces that maybe you're not ready to take on,
for
um,
sure.
uh, what do you think about things like Gymboree, or I don't know if you guys have a My Gym. I feel
We
like
do.
they are, because Victory goes to a My Gym, and I feel like they are, in a way, they're kind of are like indoor play spaces, but they have classes involved, that it's all
Totally.
membership based.
So for me to understand those, and when I talk to clients as well, a My Gym or a Gymboree, to me, they're more of a play gym. I had my daughter's first birthday party at Gymboree, actually.
Yeah.
So Gymborees are very close to my heart just because that's where we had our first birthday. But they're more play gyms. To me, I don't classify those as indoor playgrounds, play cafes, or a play lounge. They do fall within the play space sector. However, I think they're doing something totally different at those spaces. They are definitely focusing on physical fitness, but they're using gym equipment to do those things. And I think within having the gym equipment there in the classes, they're also teaching the kids how to be safe when they're utilizing those things and how to use them correctly. So I definitely define it as a play space, but when it comes to the specific types of play space, I guess we can then add on play gyms to those different definitions. But I definitely consider those a gym rather than a playground, if you would.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Um, so what did you mean by being kid focused, adult focused, family focused?
Yeah, very cool. So one of the things that came up when I was formulating on my papaya was that I needed a place for me, not just for my kid. I wanted a place where I can go, that my kid was able to play, but that I can sit and relax and sit in a comfortable chair, have music playing that wasn't, the ABCs or a nursery rhyme, but like real music that I would hear on the radio, and a place where I can kind of chill out, but know that she was safe while she was playing. So when you're defining or coming up with a definition or an understanding of your niche for your play space, you'd have to decide for yourself, is your space specifically just totally kid focused, or are you focusing on those adults too? I always said that my place was a play space that moonlighted as an adult hangout. Because we had comfortable seating for the parents that was throughout the lounge, and we had a nice area that had tables and chairs for the parents to sit at and relax. We had Wi-Fi, we had good music playing. So to me, that's a place, and you're focusing on your parents. You're making sure that your parents are comfortable. One of the things that was really always important to me that I always reminded myself and my staff of was that we are creating a play space for the kids, but if the parents don't want to be at your place, they're not going to come and they're not going to pay. So before the kids are your customer, that adult coming into the facility is your customer. And if you're creating a place that's comfortable for them, they're more than likely to come back more often, because it not only becomes for their little one, but it becomes a place for them as well. So in my notes, I said kid focus, adult focus, or are you family focused? Family focus is, I guess, kind of like a hodgepodge between the two, but you're looking at having things that the parents or the families or the unit kind of, they would do together in your space rather than doing independently. I think with a play lounge, a lot of times and even with your indoor playgrounds, or your parents are usually kind of relaxing a little bit, and then the kids are kind of off on their own doing their own thing. So I think you just have to decide what you want to see the parents doing when they come into your place and what you want to see the kids doing when they come into your place. I think it's important to think about that before you just kind of construct this place and open your doors and say, okay, everybody come in. You have to have an idea of what you want people to do when they come into your place.
Yeah. This is a really good, I guess, focus point, just because then this kind of goes into the realm of how you're going to design your space, so it gets you kind of thinking about all those aspects of, even like furniture,
Yeah.
because most people are focused on what kind of play equipment I'm going to buy and all this stuff, but they don't think about what kind of seating I'm going to buy, just those other details that we actually don't think about as play space owners when we're kind of going into that. And also, I think we mentioned play towns, right? That this also goes into the definition of kind of like how you're going to design your space as far as what kind of toys and what kind of walls you're going to build and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I opened mine, what was really important for me was that I wanted my space to be very open. Right. So that way I could stand in the back of my play space and be able to see the whole space.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because I had 2 kids and I just understood that I didn't want to have to be running around trying to search for another kid while the other kid wanted, just have, because it ends up being more of like one kid decides that he's too old for that space, so he's going to go to another space, and you kind of just let him fend for himself or whatever,
right.
Because you have to watch the little one. So it really helps with like you thinking about the design of your space overall.
Right, for sure. I think that's really important, that you pre-think it out. I think we look at ideas that other people have when we're, scrolling through social media, or we're doing our research and we're looking at other play spaces. But I think it's really important to decide what you'd want for yourself as a parent from your own experience, or as a person from your own experience, because there are play space owners that don't have kids. But then also listening to your community to find out what may not already exist, and creating that type of space in your town that may not exist. When my place opened, there was really not an open concept of a play space that really existed. As time went on, by the time I sold my place, I was like one of 16 or 17 play spaces. But one of the things that made my space unique within the niche of play spaces was that it was an open concept. There were places that opened that were like the town concept that was really cool. I honestly love those places. However, parents that had multiple kids would say that their kids would get lost. So I think it's important to understand as you're defining your niche and figuring out where you fit within the niche is that you definitely just want to figure out what feels more comfortable for you or most comfortable for you, and then what you want your space to look like, and figure out how you can kind of best make that work in the facility that you're going to open.
Yeah. Also, you probably have to remember too with these two, however you design your space, it's going to attract or detract people.
Yeah.
Attract the people that are more like you, and that's a good thing too. Sometimes we look at it as the opposite, you know. So
Right.
yeah. Um, the learning style of the facility.
Yeah.
What's important?
So, yeah, so when you're looking at a learning style of a facility, you're going to think about the different learning styles and types of things that people do in order to teach their children. So, when I first opened my space, I was really into things being earth friendly, recycled materials. So I really focused on having wood toys in my space. Whenever I had crafts, I always did crafts that were done with recycled materials. So my place was known for being a place that was earth friendly or a green space. You also have spaces that are Montessori or Reggio Emilia based play spaces. I think when I look at your space, it's an imaginative play space. So you want to figure out how can the type of learning that I'm trying to convey to my community, how would I define that in a physical space? So when you're doing that, you may have to look at a certain type of toy. You know, it was really important to me that I didn't have a lot of plastic toys in my space. I didn't have toys that were made with BPA in my space. There were things that I thought about with my toys that probably people wouldn't normally think about. And those were the unique things that I can kind of talk to the parents about when they began asking about my toy. So I may not have only said that this toy does this, but I would say, and did you know that this toy was made with recycled materials too? So that was something that was unique about my space.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Just having a message that goes along with your play space. I guess that's kind of like what
Definitely.
you're trying to say. I think that for any business, not just play space, we're talking about play spaces business, but I'm talking about overall any business that you get into. You always have to have some sort of niche, something that sets you apart from other play spaces. If you're just
Sure.
the same as everybody else, there's no reason for people to come to you. So
For real.
this is the importance of what Yolanda is talking about. She's not talking about just her space in particular and what she does. She's talking about how you're branding yourself outside of what other play spaces are doing or what your competitors might be doing. Too much we
For
start
sure.
thinking about trying to copy our competitors when we're not thinking about what we're doing to set ourselves apart from our competitors. So that's very
Right.
important.
Yeah, one of the things that is really important in remembering when you begin to think about your competition is that one, families like to have choice. They're going to go to a variety of places during the week with their children or during the month with their children. You want to figure out if you were mirrored or alongside your competition, what would make your parents come to them? But it's important to know what makes your parents go to those other places and understand that there's enough for us all. And I know it's kind of like a really hard concept to digest, but there really is. One of the things that was really cool as I began to really understand what I was doing at my space was I understood that my space was more for babies than for school age children or even preschoolers. Preschoolers did come, but my specialty as I really got into my groove was those little babies and those toddlers. So as my business grew over the years, I really began to focus on babies. So I brought in more baby equipment, and I brought in more baby classes and toddler classes to my space. So once you kind of get into a groove and understand your space as the years go on too, your niche will become more defined as well.
Yeah, and it it really speaks to maybe doing more things that you're passionate about, right?
Sure.
Because I remember speaking to you about this, and you were basically saying that, it kind of set yourself apart from all the other play spaces, right? Because all of them were concentrating on different age groups. So yeah, just really thinking about how you can be a niche within your own community, right?
Definitely. I think you had talked about understanding the age group of the children that will be coming into your space. When you explain your space to the public on your website or on your social media, you're going to say, my space caters to this age range to this age range. It's important that you understand those various age ranges. It's important that you understand 0 to 7. 0 and 7 are two totally different ages, so you need to understand what an infant is, what a toddler is, what a preschooler is, what a school age child is. And you may have to look at that wide age range and say, does the equipment in my place work for a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old? And also, does the equipment in my place work for a 0 to 1-year-old? Some places are 2 and up. Some places are 5 and under. Some places are truly 0 to 7 or 0 to 12. But it's understanding what happens, within those age ranges that will help you to say what age range your space is specifically for. Because although I see in some cases, some places are defined as we go up to age 12, the things that they have in their places, it's not for a 12-year-old, but they're putting that age group out there to try to get more people in. But in essence, it becomes a deterrent for those customers once they see what's in your place.
Yeah. So what we're trying to say is try to find out what your niche is, do it well, and um, try to capture the clientele that's ideal for you and not just focusing on the broad. Because you'll be a lot more successful if you can just find your client and not everybody.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think that this is going to be a great episode for people to listen to, and I'm sure they'll have a lot more questions for us. So if you listen to this episode and you want to ask Tammy and I questions for me, you can contact me at PlaySpace Solutions on Instagram and on Facebook, and then my website is playspace.solutions.
And you can find me on Instagram at PlaySpace Owner. And if you want to follow my current PlaySpace, I'm Imagine Play EG on Instagram and on Facebook, and on our website, imagineplayelkgrove.com. So we are talking about competition next time, how to deal with your competition, or I guess more about not being scared of your competition.
Exactly.
Yeah, so tune into the next episode for that. Okay, thank you. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.